before the video starts, I'd like to shout out Hussein Ali, Jethro Climacus, Kos, Admirania Emo, and Antarchist Thoth for subscribing to my channel and supporting me. If you would like a shout out like them, subscribe to me and comment it down below and comment that you've done so. Anyway, on to the actual video now. Hello and welcome, this is Waffles1738 here, back with another video, and basically this video is a part 2 to the Commander battles, and I'm going to be showing you some more battles, 2 more battles. So this one here is Hermann leading YSG against Richard leading Adolfled. So Hermann's first skill, which is obviously maxed out with these players, deals massive damage, and when it's on level 1 it has a damage factor of 300 and rage reduction of 50, which goes up to 750 direct damage factor and then rage reduction 100. So you can see how that could be very effective against Richard and Adolfled. So it's very helpful there, and YSG deals direct damage to the enemy in a fan-shaped area, so that's his AoE coming in there, and damage dealt to each target will be reduced by 15% if for each additional target, so it'll be 85% of what it is when it's AoE around it. But since it's just a one-on-one, it's fine here, really. And it goes up to 1,400 of a direct damage factor. So you can see that the Hermann with the YSG is working well against the Richard. And Richard's skill is heals some of the slightly wounded units. And you can see here that it's maxed out, so the healing factor is 1,400. The damage reduction goes up to 30%, and march speed reduction doesn't really matter. It's 15%, and it's only really if they start running away from you when it matters. So it's healing a lot of troops, but it's not dealing the damage back. And Adolfled is has some damage, the direct damage. So you can see her first skill is maxed here because she is doing 800 damage, which is the direct damage factor if the first skill of Adolfled is on 5. It reduces their attack, defense and health by 10% for the next 2 seconds, which is helping the Richard able to pull off his shield, and reduces the losses for them, but it's still not good enough. You can also see Atume in the background here, just watching in to the also amazing battles. And the 10% attack, defense and health reduction, if it's maxed on this skill, goes up to 30%. And when you put all of that together with the Richard and the Adolfled, their damage is not too much, and you can take back a lot of your lost units. It was Mina leading YSG against Richard Adolfled. It'd be very nuky against Richard, and this would probably work better against this pair, and therefore they just would get nuked out, as a lot of pairs do. Both of these pairs are very, very pay to win, except for the Hermann, but you've got a YSG there which is pay to win on the wheel. So yeah, it's very, yeah, it's very equal here. But if the Hermann was switched out with a Mina and the troops were switched with a cavalry, I'm pretty sure it would be less equal. But since it is Hermann leading YSG, they are both archer commanders, so they're able to do a full archer army and get all the buffs from that. It might work better if YSG was leading the Hermann as his skills are better, and he's obviously a legendary, so... But anyway, this couple has worked out, and it's very equal here, though. And I'm pretty sure Hermann is going to win. But I can't really tell at this time. So, yeah. It's just... The overall damage is against the Hermann. But the Hermann and YSG are doing damage to the Richard. But it is also healing, so it's just equal up everything. So you can see South does not have all the archer buffs. It doesn't have archer health the best when it's a full archer army, and all the infantry are better for Alpha, which is good, as his army is full infantry. You can see the losses in the bottom left. Pretty equal. About 7,000 more for Alpha, but it's still a very equal battle there, and it was well fought, and they're both good pairings. So this is the second battle here, which is Richard leading Charles against Pelagius leading Chow Chow. So you can see here that the overall damage is against the Pelagius, and the power-ups are in favour of the Pelagius, so it's kind of trading that. And both the first skills of Alpha and South, of the Charles and Richard led by South, are they are both shields. So there's some differences though, because with the shield of Francia from Charles Martel, it activates a shield that can absorb massive damage. So when it's maxed out, it's a damage factor of 1,200, and when you see it on the screen, it's 3 shields, not 1 like the Richard one. It stops that damage for the next 4 seconds, because that's how long you have the power up for. It also increases the troop damage by 30% whilst the shield is active. That's when the skill is maxed out. It goes 10, 14, 18, 24 and 30%. And those skills are against the Pelagius and Chow Chow, which the Pelagius's first skill is dealing direct damage with the balls, obviously, and the max that is 300, but there's an additional damage factor which also does 300 at max, so it's 300 plus 300, which is 600. There is rage restored of 100, so it will build up over time, I assume. So that's basically what the Pelagius is. And Cao is better as a secondary commander to this, I think, and also is a very good secondary commander to Minamoto. So Richard is wheel, which is kind of pay to win, whereas Pelagius is a free purple commander if you get him with Spain when you choose Spain, and Chow Chow, you can get him in gold chests, it's just a bit rare, and you can also get him in the expedition golden chest that you get. You can get his sculptures there, just like Adolfled's. So he deals direct damage factor of 1,400 at max, which is very good. If the first skill is maxed out, that's very powerful. So you can imagine how powerful his first skill maxed would be with Mina's first skill maxed. And that's why they're such a good pairing together. There is an attack reduction and a march speed reduction for the next 3 seconds, and the attack reduction at max is 40% and the march speed reduction is 10%. Now you can see why everyone says max your first skill as well, because it's such an important skill. It's the best one, and if you're spending on Mina, don't bother spending it after a 5-5-1-1, because his third skill is terrible and it's for barbarians, which you don't need it, because you can max out barbarians perfectly easily without it. So it's a useless skill and it will drain a lot of money out of you, and there's no point doing it. So you can see here that the damage, the Richard and the Charles is just a lot better than the Pelagius and Chow Chow. The pairings are just a lot better, because it's the damage against the Richard and Charles is so low that when it heals, they're almost getting all their troops back, and that's why their health hasn't gone down too much. But the Pelagius and Chow Chow have no defense or healing troops, so they're continuously going down, and they're already in the red zone, while Richard, paired with Charles, is still in the white zone. So you can see that it's very powerful, this pairing against this pairing. It's also the more pay-to-win pairing, and that's a good reason why it is winning. You can see Arabella in the background here, and some other fights going on with South and Alpha. Real fun. They like putting each other's cities on smoke with like one troop. So yeah, it's just, you can see this is probably the most one-sided battle that I've recorded here, and you can understand why. So yeah, it's just very one-sided battle and gone very wrong for Alpha. But you'll see the severely wounded and you'll be pretty shocked by how nearer to each other it is than what I thought anyway. So you can see the buffs here. The infantry is obviously on the side of all of them, on the side of the Richard, and all of the cavalry are on the side of Alpha, and he's got an 169.5% cavalry attack, which is massive, but it's still nowhere near high enough to win it. So there's 34,000 severely wounded for South and 70,000 wounded for Alpha, but it's like 10 times the health of it, so it's really shocking. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to me. It will mean a lot. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye.